Isang makakalikasang araw. Naisip mo na ba kung paano isinasagawa ng mga third-party evaluators ang inventory at assessment para sa National Greening Program? Masasagot natin yan dito sa Forestry Fridays. Sa video na ito, pag-uusapan natin ang mga responsibilidad ng mga third-party evaluators na nakasaad sa DENR Administrative Order Number 2023-09 o tinatawag na Guidelines in the Conduct of Inventory and Assessment of Graduated National Greening Program Plantations by Third-Party Evaluators. Ang National Greening Program o NGP ay naglalayong tumugon sa iba't ibang national concerns tulad ng poverty reduction, food security, environmental stability, biodiversity conservation, and climate change mitigation and adaptation. Tara! Alamin natin kung ano ang papel at mga responsibilidad ng third-party evaluators sa pagsuri ng implementasyon ng NGP. From 2011 until 2016, the National Greening Program targeted the rehabilitation of 1.5 million hectares of degraded forest lands. By the end of 2016, a total of 1.6 million hectares had been planted. Kaya naman, naisip ng gobyerno na i-expand ang coverage ng NGP para makover ang remaining na unproductive, denuded, and degraded forests. At ang period of implementation ay na-extend din from 2016 to 2028. Through the years, the program has been working with different stakeholders such as local government units, other government agencies, the academe, different people's organizations, families, and the private sector to achieve its goals and expand its coverage. However, aside from ensuring the production of planting materials, establishing sites, and maintenance and protection activities, the DENR is also responsible for the proper recording of these project sites in the Book of Accounts. Dahil ang programang ito ay funded ng Philippine government at syempre ng Filipino people, ang mga sites ay itinuturing na government assets. In 2023, the DENR issued Administrative Order Number 2023-09, titled Guidelines in the Conduct of Inventory and Assessment of Graduated National Greening Program Plantations by Third-Party Evaluators. This order established standard procedures for the inventory and assessment of graduated NGP plantation sites reported as physically completed under the General Appropriations Act. The general objective is to determine the performance of the National Greening Program. To be more specific, mayroon din itong sub-objectives. First, determine the current stocking density under NGP graduated plantations as well as existing trees, saplings, and at least 1 meter regenerants. Next, identify the initial impact on the socioeconomic condition of people's organization, their perception of the effect of NGP on their environment, their impression of the implementation of NGP, and lastly, draw lessons, identify gaps, and recommendations for policy enhancement and improved implementation strategies. Saan kaya papasok ang role ng third-party evaluators? Alamin natin. Mahalaga ang role na ito para ma-achieve ang objectives ng program. May iba't ibang qualifications din para sa mga third-party evaluators. Qualified third-party evaluators must have the expertise and/or have undertaken similar projects related to the following for the past 10 years. Project implementation, management, and supervision of ENR projects. Forest inventory, surveys, and/or assessment of reforestation or afforestation sites, including GIS operations. And socioeconomic surveys and impact assessment studies of community-based management programs. Pwedeng maging qualified third-party evaluators ang mga sumusunod: associations, corporations, consulting firms, non-government organizations or civil society organizations with technical capabilities and engagement in environment or forestry advocacy, and state and private universities and colleges. It's important to remember that partners, contractors, and organizations are only allowed to act as third-party evaluators of sites they did not establish. Interested third-party evaluators must possess the minimum requirements stated in Republic Act No. 9184 in rendering the services needed. This act, also known as the Government Procurement Reform Act, aims to regulate the procurement of goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services by the government. Ngayon alam na natin kung sino ang mga pwedeng gumanap bilang third-party evaluator, alamin naman natin ang kanilang mga responsibilidad. The third-party evaluator has two main roles. The first is to conduct a field inventory and assessment of graduated NGP plantations. Under this, the third-party evaluator is expected to carry out the inventory and fill out the necessary information using data capture and observation forms, take geotagged photos and submit photo layouts for each site assessed, integrate, manage, organize, and submit data of all sample plots of the sites inventoried in accordance with the TOR, and finally, submit the final assessment report in accordance with the TOR. The second main responsibility of the third-party evaluator is to conduct key informant interviews for in-situ contractors or partners that are directly benefiting and have an immediate stake in the NGP areas following the prescribed template developed by the Forest Management Bureau. Paano kaya gagampanan ng mga third-party evaluators ang kanilang mga responsibilidad? Alamin natin! Makikita natin sa Annex A ang administrative order na ito ang specific procedure for the conduct of sampling, inventory, and key informant interview or KII. Pag-usapan natin kung paano nga ba pwedeng i-conduct ang plantation or forest development inventory and assessment, pati na rin ang KII. First, we will discuss the conduct of a field inventory and assessment of graduated NGP plantations. The goal of this is to determine the current stocking of the planted sites and to identify other sites that have already been damaged by natural and other occurrences and therefore can be considered to be delisted or derecognized. For this procedure, we will discuss the following steps: sample size determination, random sampling of plots, coordination prior to the inventory, field inventory. For the sample size determination, all graduated NGP plantations shall be validated through the conduct of inventory based on the contract. For contracted areas less than 1 hectare, 100% inventory shall be undertaken. For example, if the contracted area to be inventoried is 0.89 hectares, then the sampling size shall also be equal to 0.89 hectares. For contracted areas equal to or greater than 1 hectare to represent the whole area contracted, the number of sample plots for those areas can be computed using the formula shown. If the contracted area is 80 hectares, which falls within the range of the 1 hectare and above, the number of sample plots is equivalent to 9 1-hectare plots, and so on. The assigning of the sample size shall be done using MS Excel. The result should be rounded off to get a whole number. Here is a sample computation. The contracted area is 80 hectares. If we use the formula to determine the number of sample plots, we will have this equation. Number of sampling plots is equal to 1 plus 0.10 times the difference between 80 and 1. If we compute this, we get 8.9. We will round this off to get the total number, which is 9 sample plots. After the determination of number of sample plots, the team shall employ random sampling of plots. The area or size of each sample plot is 100 meters by 100 meters or 1 hectare. Random plots shall be determined using the grid index feature and random point selection of GIS software. For reference, an image is shown presenting the grid index and random point selection features of GIS software. For contracts having more than one site or polygon established, All sites or polygons shall be clustered and merged so that all will be included in the random plot selection. Should the randomly selected plot fall under boundaries, bodies of water, ravines, etc., the third-party evaluator shall select any plot adjacent to the said plot. It is important to note that proper coordination with the NGP partners, depending on the nature of the partnership, LGUs concerned, and other applicable stakeholders shall be conducted by the team. The team will communicate the objectives, activities, schedule, and composition responsible for conducting the fieldwork to all stakeholders involved. For the field inventory, third-party evaluators shall conduct the inventory of both NGP planted and existing trees, saplings, and 1-meter regenerants in all plots to be sampled. Third-party evaluators shall use the prescribed data capture and summary forms. Next, we have the guidelines for the conduct of key informant interviews and one-time focus group discussion. The third-party evaluator shall conduct key informant interviews with at least 3 in situ members along with the POs or barangay, or local beneficiaries or organizations or institutions identified using the KII questionnaire. They shall also facilitate a one-time focus group discussion with the selected PO representatives to validate and substantiate the initial results of KII. The third-party evaluation will also receive support from DENR. Regarding the participation and support assistance that DENR personnel can provide, it shall be limited to provision of guidance and assistance on the provision of documents, available digital NGP data, and shapefiles related to the said activity. Pre-identification of PO respondents and coordination for the conduct of the KII, random monitoring of activities of the third-party evaluators, capturing drone footage of the sample sites and plots and creating the corresponding map. These generated drone-surveyed maps shall be used for comparison with the satellite images for analysis being conducted by the DENR Geospatial Database Office, or GDO, and conducting orientation or leveling off workshop for the third-party evaluators on the procedure and reporting requirements. Please note that no personnel from the department, whether permanent or under contract, will participate in the actual activities as third-party evaluators. As for the funding and contract costs of the activity, it shall be recommended by the Director of FMB, approved by the Supervising Undersecretary, and shall be included in the work and financial plan. It shall also cover all activities provided for in Section 6 of this order, which details the responsibilities of the third-party evaluators. Incidental expenses will be included. The Regional Executive Director shall create a Regional Review Committee, or RRC, to review the deliverables and/or final report of the third-party evaluators. The RRC will be chaired by the Assistant Regional Director for Technical Services and composed of the Chief or duly designated representative of the following divisions: Conservation and Development Division, or CDD, Planning and Management Division, or PMD, Accounting Division, and Regional NGP Focal or Coordinator. Provincial subcommittees shall also be created for each province. These committees will be headed by the designated RRC member from the regional office and composed of the following members from the Provincial Environment and Natural Resources Office and Community Environment and Natural Resources Office. PENRO NGP Focal or Coordinator, PENRO Planning Officer, PENRO Accountant or their duly designated representatives. CENRO NGP Focal or Coordinator within each PENRO's jurisdiction along with one technical staff. Protected Area Superintendent or PASU may also be included as a member of the Provincial Subcommittee for provinces that implemented NGP in protected areas, or PAs. The provincial subcommittees shall be a part of the Regional Review Committee. Now that we have learned about the composition of the Regional Review Committee, or RRC, Let's discuss their roles. The RRC is expected to fulfill the following: provide technical and overall guidance to the field offices, monitor the progress of execution of activities of the third party as well as the parallel support activities of the region and field offices, designate one of the RRC members from the regional office to be the head of the provincial subcommittee, may delegate the review of the first and second deliverables to the concerned provincial subcommittee, review the final report of the third party to be endorsed to the regional executive director or PENRO, whichever is applicable, and endorse and recommend for payment the reviewed final report for the last billing to the regional executive director or PENRO. As mentioned earlier, DENR and its concerned offices shall monitor and supervise the activities of third-party evaluators. The consolidated monthly progress reports, including maps of drone-surveyed sites with plots, along with the final reports, shall be submitted to the Office of the Undersecretary for Policy, Planning, and International Affairs. Copies of these documents shall also be furnished to the Forest Management Bureau, the DENR Geospatial Database Office, and the Financial and Management Service. Subsequently, the FMB shall furnish a copy of the submitted final reports to the Ecosystems Research and Development Bureau, the Biodiversity Management Bureau, and the Policy and Planning Service. The final reports of the third-party evaluators, once accepted by the authorized official, shall serve as the basis for the accountant to update and reclassify the records in the Book of Accounts. Specifically, these records will be adjusted from construction in progress, land improvements, to land improvements, reforestation projects. As for the review and acceptance of deliverables and the final report, the Regional Review Committee, or RRC, shall review these documents submitted by the third-party evaluators. If found in order, the committee chair shall endorse this to the contracting party for acceptance. The process flow can also be found in Annex B of this administrative order. If the contracting party is the regional office, the regional executive director shall issue the acceptance certificate for the payment of billing upon endorsement by the RRC. If the contracting party is the Provincial Environment and Natural Resources Office, the PENR officer shall issue the certificate for the payment upon the endorsement of the concerned provincial subcommittees. The DENR regional offices shall consolidate and endorse all accepted final reports to the Office of the Undersecretary for Policy, Planning, and International Affairs. Copies of these reports shall also be furnished to the FMB for the consolidation of the national results of the activity. That's it for DAO number 2023-09, Guidelines in the Conduct of Inventory and Assessment of Graduated National Greening Program Plantations by Third-Party Evaluators.